Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be talking about my TBR for the winter biannual bibliothon. The bibliothon is going to be running from the 12th to the 18th of January, just the right time to give me a push to get into my reading for the new year. So I'm going to be taking part in the reading challenges, trying to complete the reading challenges. There is one that I'm doubling up on because I think it's unrealistic for me to complete the whole lot, but yeah, fingers crossed. And the first challenge is to complete the group book, and this time they've picked Empress of All Seasons by Amiko Jean. I was very kindly sent this by the publisher for review, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this. This is a YA fantasy book. It says the rules are simple: survive the palace's enchanted seasonal rooms, conquer winter, spring, summer and fall, and you can marry the prince. All are eligible to compete except yokai, supernatural spirits and monsters that the human emperor is determined to destroy. Mary has spent a lifetime training to become empress, and she doesn't just plan to win, she's going to steal the emperor's fortune. But she's hiding a dangerous secret. She is yokai, with the ability to transform into a terrifying monster. If discovering, her life will be forfeited. As she struggles to keep her true identity hidden, Mary's fate collides with that of Taro, the prince who has no desire to inherit the imperial throne, and Akira, a half-human, half-yokai outcast. Together they will decide the fate of the world. So I think that's going to be a really fun, fast, action-packed fantasy. Great for a readathon. Next up, you're asked to read one of the host's 5-star reads, and for that I am picking Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This is a book that's written in various different ways. I think there's a lot of sort of text possibly in here. It's about Penny and Sam, and it's about this sort of text relationship that they end up having. I don't know an awful lot about this, but I remember it getting quite mixed reviews. I think it's quite Marmite. You either really love it or really don't like it. So I'm looking forward to giving it a go. It's one of the host's 5-star reads, and so I'm going to try it out, and it was on my shelf anyway, so what better chance to get reading. The next is to read a book that got you into reading, and for this I'm going to be taking that theme of a book that really got me into enjoying reading as an adult, and that was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I would say that that is my favourite book. If anybody asks me what my favourite book of all time is, that is the one. And this recently, if you've seen my book hauls, is a latest book to hit my shelves, which is To Kill a Mockingbird as a graphic novel, and so I'm going to be taking the opportunity to reread this story in graphic novel form during the readathon. Next, you need to raise an adult genre, and for that I'm going to read Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. I'm also tying this in with the next challenge, which is to read a book by an author you haven't read before. I've never read anything by this author. Exit West is a great book for a readathon. It's under 200 pages, and I've wanted to read it for ages. It just sounds like a bit of a literary magical realism story. It says all over the world doors are appearing. They lead to other cities, other countries, other lives, and in the city gripped by war, Nadia and Saeed are newly in love. Hardly more than strangers, desperate to survive, they open a door and step through, but the doors only go one way. Once you leave, there's no going back. I just think this is going to be a really interesting look at immigration and refugees, and but taking it in a slightly different way, with this sort of magical idea of these doors. I've heard great things. It's great for a readathon, so that's going to hit those two prompts. The next prompt is to read a book with a cover you don't like. I'm picking The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I really think this cover is boring, but it is my January book club pick, so we're going to be reading this one, so I need to get reading it anyway. It's set in two timelines, 1950 and present day. In 1950, we're looking at this crumbling Idlewild Hall School for Unwanted Girls. We're looking at these 4 roommates. I believe there's a murder. And then we look at present day, and I think it's a journalist who's looking into the death of her sister, and I think it's meant to be a bit of a thrilling romp, so we shall see. The final prompt was a little bit difficult for me. It says combine your favourite genre with your least favourite format, or the opposite, so your least favourite genre with your favourite format. So I'm going to be going for a bit of a weird one here. I'm going to be going for a format that I don't think always works for me, which is a combination of text and lists. I find with lists, like books with lists, I tend to skim the lists and not read them very carefully. And then a genre that I really love, which is books, like books about books. And this is a book of book lists. This is a book that I've wanted to read for ages. It's by Alex Johnson. It's published, I think, by the British Library, and it's a book of book lists, and it contains all sorts of lists, but not just things like these are the books you should read before you die, but books off people's bookshelves. I mean, chapter 1 is reading lists, and the first one we've got is Bin Laden's bookshelf, and it gives you a list of books, and then it gives you a brief summary of how they know about these books, where have they got these books from, and it says it's not the 1001 books you must read before you die, but lists that tell stories, lists that make you smile, make you wonder, and see titles together in entirely new ways. From Bin Laden's bookshelf to the books most frequently left in hotels, from prisoners' favourite books to MPs' most borrowed books, these lists are proof that a person's bookcase tells you everything you need to know about them and something more besides. I just think this sounds really good. It's a book about books, which I love. It's a book with lists, which I sometimes struggle with. So I thought it'd be great for a readathon and a great one to sort of dip in and out of while I'm reading the other books. So that is my list for my TBR for the biannual bibliothon, and I can't wait to get stuck into these, and I will come back to you and let you know how I get on with them during the readathon. Okay, well, that's it from me, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.